Ready?
We're ready. We're live. Without the fireplace.
Yeah, internet's slow today.
Welcome to everyone. This is Revitalize Johnstown 400.
We're doing 400?
400, we're doing 400.
I wasn't sure what we're going with.
We may change that later. You never know.
Okay.
The first thing I want to talk about is what I just did, Joe, about a half hour ago. I just filed a lawsuit against the city of Johnstown and the city of Johnstown.
You're kidding me.
Planning
You
Commission.
filed a lawsuit?
I filed a lawsuit.
Oh my God.
I could just see the attack ads now. Frivolous lawsuits.
Did they all think you were filing a lawsuit to knock someone off the ballot?
Isn't that the good question? I went into the Pathonicary's office. That's how you file. Here's the long story. We've been talking about this now for about a month. You know, Mom's House is trying to build a $4 million recreation center in Roxbury.
Yes, and they're being blocked.
And the City of Johnstown Planning Commission was supposed to give a formal recommendation. They didn't. So in December, they kicked it back to the Johnstown City Council with no recommendation.
Okay.
And you were there for that.
Yes.
So the City of Johnstown, the City Council takes it up, and the City Council says, we're not going to vote on this until the Planning Commission does their job. So they kick it back.
Just to be honest, I think everything they're doing is incorrect. They seem all wrong. Everything they're doing doesn't seem to follow what's supposed to be done at all.
Well, you and I like to call it bureaucracy ping pong.
Well, that, you know, maybe if it's malicious or is it just the fact that they're doing it incorrectly, they don't know.
Well, so the City Council sends it back to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission has a special meeting with one action item, which is to talk about Mom's House rezoning.
Okay.
And I'm not even quite sure the rezoning should have been there and not at the zoning board.
Well, if they were going to rezone, then they would have to then pay a fee, I think, for the zoning board, and then notify all the neighbors by letter that they were going to do something like that.
So this is going on. So we go to the Planning Commission on February 16th. I'm there with all the Mom's House people, and I decide to speak out. Before me, the head of Mom's House, the director, she gets like 6 minutes. They originally tell us it's a 3-minute window.
Okay.
When I get up, good old Cuck Davis cuts me off at 90 seconds.
It's supposed to be 5 minutes.
It's supposed to be 5. When I say, you're passing the buck, take a vote, yes or no, he gavels me.
Yes, because that hurt his feelings.
It hurt his feelings.
Okay.
So then he basically, well, you violated your 3 minutes, you're done. And I was just like arguing because I never had 3 minutes. And the thing is, if I wouldn't record these meetings and have everything, they would just lie about it.
Yeah, they'd say, oh, you had all your time.
So I file a complaint with the city. I file a complaint with the Planning Commission. I talked to the assistant city manager.
They say they're going to do something, and yet they don't.
Right. So then I end up going to the Planning Commission meeting on Wednesday. I formally address this, and Cuck Davis acknowledges he was wrong.
He did. I saw that.
He says, I violated your time, and I basically said, all I want is follow the Sunshine Act, redo the meeting.
Yes. And he was about to.
Well, he actually put a motion on the floor to redo the meeting. It received a second. And then as they're deliberating, council persons Michael Capriati and Laura Uckel, breath of fresh air.
Because we have 2 council members on 2 of 7 on
2 of 9.
2 of 9. Oh, on the
Planning Commission.
No, I mean 2 of
council.
Council, yeah.
So they block it because City Council has a vote this Wednesday, March 8th on Mom's House officially. And there's questions about how they're going to spend the ARPA money with Mom's House, and I'm not quite sure how to get details.
Yeah. That was something somebody said, that it might be that they don't want to spend the money from Mom's House.
To give it to someone else.
Yeah, they have other intentions, which, knowing the city, that's a possibility.
So they block the vote, and they tell me they're going to pass the buck and kick the can back to Johnstown City Council to make a legal determination. Of course, my comment was, you're a board, and this is a private. The Planning Commission is its own entity.
It should have its own solicitor and everything.
And they have their own power. They approve things.
Yes.
So kicking the can back and forth, and you have a 30-day window when you file the Sunshine Act if someone violates your rights.
You have to do it.
So instead of waiting another week, knowing we're approaching the first month, I had no choice but to file a lawsuit.
So you filed a lawsuit, and what did you want in your lawsuit?
Oh, very simple. I want them to redo the meeting.
Okay.
Of course, I want an apology. I want them to reimburse me for my $104.75 filing fee. And because their law is so vague, and I believe it created what's called a chilling effect, and this is a throwback to 7 years ago when I sued the Greater Johnstown School District because they violated all of our rights. Johanna Bradco almost went to jail.
Okay.
I want them to stricken the law. I'm asking a judge to stricken the law as unconstitutional and to force the city of Johnstown to redo their policy, which they just passed, so that it's fair for everyone, and that there can't be another dictator like Cuck Davis who's going to say, no, you're done, and not adhere to the law.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
So what are they going to do?
That's they're going to ignore you and let it go to court probably, and they're going to waste as much taxpayer money as possible by not doing anything.
And they're going to blame me for it.
Yeah.
All they had to do was
redo it.
Redo the meeting.
Well, all they had to do was not cut you off in 90 seconds in.
And in the middle of this, I filed a complaint with the DA's office with DA Greg Nierbauer, because as our DA, he's the top prosecutor. And I was asking, and then he still may get involved because they violated my civil rights.
Interesting. We'll see.
And then they gave another speaker almost 6 minutes and cut me off at 90 seconds. And there was about 7 or 8 speakers that day.
Well, probably for a reason, yeah.
And once I got cut off, all the other speakers were so scared. The one woman spoke for 30 seconds. Oh, I'll sit down. It created that. It's stifled.
No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be gabbled and threatened.
Yes. So this needs addressed. Will they do it?
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We can check that off.
We're checking it off. I have a list, people. Go with it. The big story this week also we talked about was the state of the city.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because
everything's good.
We need a new public safety building, don't we? Go ahead, Joe, before I dig into this.
So they let the building that they're in currently leak to the point of it's bad and they have to move out. And then they cry about how it's so horrible because they deferred the maintenance. And now they want to waste money.
$8 million, and they have $2.5 million from the ARPA.
Building a brand new building.
And instead of
city
taking the money from the $25 million from the Main Street project,
no
one cares.
They have to repaint Morley's dog.
For how X number of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's important.
So instead, the thing is, most people would agree the fire and the police are necessary. We need good police. We need a good police station, a good fire station. They don't care.
Yeah, well, you know, you see all these like European places, and they have buildings that are 500 years old,
and they last forever.
And they're there, and they're lasting because they do things like maintenance and like changing the roof, you know, replacing the roof and stopping leaks. And I mean, we had the parking garage that they said there's going to last 100 years, and it fell down in 20 or 30 or something like that. So we have a bad track record, and I mean, I'm sure it might be in bad condition now, but it's not because it had to be.
Well, and remember, Jack and Charlene tried for years to get the public safety building addressed, and they just ignored them. They ignored them.
Our leaders like to destroy everything. They tear everything down unless they can find a way to funnel a bunch of money into it and then line their own pockets, and then they get a bunch of money to do, you know, go after like the train station or something like that. But
part of my issue with the state of the city, Joe, is they charge $25 for what we call the billionaire's breakfast. I make fun of this online on my Facebook posters. How many people can afford to go first thing in the morning, pay $25?
How many people really want to go? Besides, it's an in-crowd party. Everybody goes and they pat each other on the back and they say how great everything is, and it's the same people in a little echo chamber. Everything's great. Oh, everything is great. It's wonderful. Yes, it is wonderful. Oh, that's great. Look how great we're doing. And you look at any of the metrics on the city, and they're not doing great.
And that's what surprised me about the Tribune.
We're not even the city, the whole county.
The Tribune Prov does news coverage of the state of the city, had that great 2-paragraph section where they acknowledged they didn't discuss the lack of population falling, they didn't discuss the lack of jobs, all the issues they're not discussing. I thought, oh my God, the paper put this in. I was amazed and impressed.
Right? At some point, it's going to be so obvious that, you know, they're not going to be able to not mention it.
But they had their meal, and they were all happy. I went to the Johnstown Housing Authority meeting this week. It was an explosive meeting.
Really?
I was advocating for a mother who is older, was there for 20 years, and her entire ceiling came crashing down on her. She reported it for 3 years. Mm-hmm. The HUD inspection of her apartment listed it, and they never fixed it. So when it came crashing down on her, she asked that they fixed it. Yes. She asked that they be moved. There was black mold in the ceiling. There was all sorts of problems. They said to her, go live in your daughter's room. Just close the door.
Uh-huh. And at the meantime, what's his name? The executive director, Mike
Alberts.
What did he say? Oh, the landlords, they don't want to be on our program because they can't keep up to our standards.
Yes.
Really?
So they ignored this woman and her family. She gets a hold of me. And this woman was so smart. The minute the ceiling collapsed on her, she takes out her phone and she records all the damage right at the spot.
Yeah, I saw the video.
So she asked for reimbursement for all the. I mean, everything was ruined.
But this was 3 years.
And it had, yes.
So for 3 years,
She
they
complained.
ignored her, and now after 3 years,
When it collapses, and even when it collapsed, they still ignored her until she contacted me to be her advocate.
and you went to a meeting.
I filed a complaint. I put it on Facebook. I had her post all the videos. She had like 10,000 views on it.
Yeah.
And then we go to a meeting, and because I addressed it, they had to publicly apologize to her and offer to turn it to their insurance company for damages.
When they should have just 3 years ago
Fixed it.
fixed the leak or whatever it was that was causing it.
And another woman
Once again, deferred maintenance
Yes.
in the city.
passed the buck. And another woman was upset because she was thrown out because she was shot. They blamed her for the person coming on the property.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't understand because it was like, oh, she was shot and that's why she was thrown out. And then I listened to what she said, and she was removed because she had someone that was there that was on the list that are not allowed on the property of the housing authority.
Mm-hmm.
And then her argument was, how am I supposed to know everybody that's on this list? Which is true. How is do they give a list of everybody that's not allowed on housing property when they move in? They say, oh, these people cannot be on the list. And if they don't give that list, then how can they hold a tenant responsible for it? And I'm okay. I agree with they should throw people out, have people there that shouldn't be there. But how does that person not know, or how does that person know that that person's not supposed to be on that property without paperwork or names?
Well, and then to make it worse, they chastised the woman who started to defend me because Chuck Arnone responded to my speech saying, it's all your friend Burns' fault.
Well, Chuck made some inappropriate comments, or
Yes.
not inappropriate, but wrong comments, that he said that there's nothing they can do, and it's HUD, and because it's and something about Burns having it on his website, which I don't understand what he was talking about, but he said it was all HUD, all their rules, and they can do nothing locally at all, which is not true. They can do a lot locally.
Yes.
There are some things that HUD controls that you can't do. That's true, but there are a lot that you can do locally. He just doesn't want to do it, or he doesn't either want. Either they don't want to do it, or they don't know what to do to fix things.
And the fact that he responded so brashly and did care that we were watching and recording.
Well, and that one lady that you said got removed, she said, "What does HUD not being able to do things have to do with fixing that lady's ceiling?"
Yes.
Well, that's true. Why didn't they fix that person?
And when they were belligerent back, and there was a back and forth. These are supposed to be where you speak to your government and they listen.
Yeah.
He kept arguing with her. So when she exercised her freedom of speech, we'll leave it at that.
He started gabbling her.
Yes, because
we can't have that kind of language.
He provoked her.
Well, gabbling people for swearing here and there, whatever.
Yes.
The man owns a bar, right?
Yes.
People swear in his bar?
I'm sure they never do.
Uh-huh.
Never.
Yeah. Does he throw them out of his bar when they swear?
This week there was an article in the paper, Joe, that the Greater Johnstown School District wants more money from their lawsuit now in the new budget. They won their lawsuit, they got their fair funding, and they want more money. Now.
Anything new?
Now.
There's nothing new there.
There are about 2 or 3 fights this week I was aware of. I got the video from the fight at McCourt that really wasn't that bad. It was the first time in 5 years McCourt had a fight, I heard.
Okay.
And it wasn't even that severe. I sent you the video. The bigger issue is the violence in the schools needs addressed.
There's a lot of stuff that needs addressed in the school,
Yes.
but it's not going to get addressed.
And of course, our leaders will wear a Dr. Seuss hat, read to the kids for a photo op, but they really don't care that our kids have a major literacy issue.
Yeah, well,
And that's a problem.
that school primary function of the administration is to get more money for the school.
We need more money.
Because money solves every problem. It's like that IBM commercial where they're like, and your solution is to throw money at the problem? And it's like, of course. And
Well, my issue
launch
with
it
the
on
school is that they're a publicity machine. I have a poster to post with the agenda
They
tonight.
have to be a publicity machine to counteract how poorly they do in a lot of what they do.
Oh, yeah. They have $74.1 million this year as a budget. They got $40 million.
3,000 kids.
Yes.
Everybody, take out your calculator and divide that.
Roughly
at home,
3,000.
You can think of how much money per kid that is.
And they asked for an additional $13 million per year from the
why
fair
not?
funding lawsuit. Or whatever the number was, I'm sure someone will say it's higher or lower.
Someone needs their car per diem paid for.
Or someone needs a behavioral specialist job at $50,000 for 5 years.
Or
not to run for
maybe
office.
even a secretary.
A secretary or two. But the reading thing, they all put on their little Dr. Seuss hats. They play the game. It's a nice photo op.
Yeah.
But these people, they're just pandering to Facebook and the media. They're not actually caring that the kids can't read. I mean, am I wrong?
I think some of the people do, but I think the administrative portion, I think they do not. I think primarily the schools are not, that school specifically is set up as a way to funnel money in. They use the poverty and they use the poor education scores as a way to drive funding to their district, and there's really no incentive for them to increase the scores and the performance of their school, because if they did, they'd lose funding. So how do you fix that problem when they know how to game the system? And then they all have to say is, we're doing this all for the kids. We love the kids. And as soon as they get a job elsewhere, you never see them again.
Or they end up in Wimber superintendent.
I'm making $200,000 a year, and they go, well, I'm doing it for the kids. I love the kids. Mm-hmm. Why don't you volunteer? You're not.
And then when they go, you never see them again.
I mean, the average income in the city of Johnstown is what, 25?
Probably under. And we have 40% poverty.
How many people that work at the school actually live in the city? Yeah, there'll be a sparse one here or there that's like, oh, my kids go to school here or there. Majority, no, nope.
Now, one of the big topics you and I exposed was the property tax scandal with the JRA. That was covered in the paper. I even got coverage for that.
And the no paying of the property tax,
yes.
Of course.
Now, I'm sure it's going to shock all of our viewers, Joe, that I've continued to dig. And I found more.
No.
You'll never guess who.
Oh.
Little by little, when I go to some of these meetings, I'm going to basically say...
You're going to tell us who?
Not now.
Not now?
They have to read Facebook. Okay. They have to keep watching Revitalize Johnstown.
Keep watching to find out more.
Keep watching. The big thing, though, when I was right to know requesting these records, Joe, I came across a thing called Xena Corporation. You and I talked about this.
We did.
Go ahead.
What is it?
Xena, Xena.
You asked me what it is?
Go ahead. I'll tell him.
It's a Ron Repack era.
Powerful one, Ron Repack.
The great and powerful Ron Repack.
He created this.
Isn't he a federal convict?
Oh, he went to jail.
Yeah.
He created this for 2001.
But in no way is the free parking lot or roof that his son got on his fitness academy. In no way does that implicate him in any wrongdoing.
Nothing.
We're going to clear that out.
Clarify.
He is an upstanding attorney for the school.
He got his job on his own merits.
He did.
No one gave him an open door.
No, not even the parking lot. Or whatever he got. Something.
The issue, though, with Xena is they created this thing 21 years ago.
To shuffle money around.
They claim they haven't used it in 7 years.
We don't use it. We're just keeping it around.
So now Pascarella, the new chairman of the JRA, is the head of it. And my question is, why don't they get rid of this? The JRA operates as a quasi-real estate scam company. They give breaks to their friends with property tax. And I'll bet you there's going to be a lot of ruffles now because they have to pay taxes.
Well,
like everybody else.
The problem with the Redevelopment Authority is it's a leech of the sewer plant.
Oh, yeah.
Because back in the day, they negotiated and they sold the sewer system over to the Redevelopment Authority for basically a pennies on the dollar kind of sale. And they sucked that out of the hands of the taxpayer and gave it to the Redevelopment Authority because Ron Repack realized that the Redevelopment Authority on its own would not be able to sustain itself.
In the last 2 weeks since our last podcast, I went to Liquid Currency. They had an amazing buffet. Mm-hmm. They charged $5, women free, men $5, packed bar. They also lost their strippers. So I was contacted by a couple other local establishments.
Dancers.
Reviews.
Dancers. There's no stripping.
So I guess some of the local businesses are going to get together and they're going to try to appeal the city's decision. The city promised to change the zoning last August.
They promised to do a lot of things, like run the city efficiently too.
Yes,
but I actually talked to some people.
Who talked to me?
And they were telling me, because I saw the law for the stripper. I mean, dancer
review.
Was in 2000, and they were telling me about all the this was an older person who knew about back in the day kind of stuff. And they were telling me about all the different clubs that were in the area. There were quite a few. Some of them said that they took the Bethlehem people there to entertain them when they would come in when the Mill people came in. So, are we a better town now and more morally upright in 2023 than the people were from the beginning of the founding of the city to 2000? I don't know. I don't think so.
The real problem is they're spending all this time to squelch things. That was Robin Weasel calling me again. You have to give Robin her shout out.
But the thing is, I'm not into it. I'm not into these shows. I don't.
But there are a section of
people who enjoy it, and I know, as getting about a bunch of guys and going to like one of those clubs and doing that's like a guy activity that you do. Why the teetotaler mentality in the city where they have to destroy any of it? You can't do that.
Well, and take it one step further.
I mean, like, you can't have chickens. Maybe we'll let you have chickens.
They ban dancing, just like
If you read the actual law about the anti-stripper law, any dancing like you would see on TV that has any hint of sexuality is illegal.
Yes.
In the city of Johnstown, unless you are in a heavy industry district and you have a special permit.
And that's ridiculous.
That's the way it's written.
And so they still haven't changed the zoning, so we still have this issue.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Bishop McGauley. His church is located at 325 William Penn Avenue. I went to one of his services last Sunday.
How was
Joe, this guy has talent dripping off of him. I don't know how he's not like big famous, making buku bucks. He put on a church service that was so remarkable. I was like, oh my God, the talent he has.
Singing,
piano, organ.
Okay, piano, organ.
I mean, we're talking. The church welcomed me. They were friendly, loving, great people. Like this is what church should be like. And I was very impressed. So Bishop, I'm giving you a plug. I also had a tour of Mom's house this week.
Is this your positivity section of this?
No, I have one more negative thing to go to.
Okay.
I'm just kind of going down.
You're like mixing it up, so it's not like too much positivity.
Yeah, I got to do it up. Now we're defending Mom's house. We've been advocating for them now for a couple months.
Yeah.
I got to take a tour. They have an entire warehouse, and when I say warehouse, I put pictures on Facebook. It's a warehouse. Mm-hmm. There's an entire room twice this size. Just about 1,000 brand new shoes. There's clothes, there's furniture, there was appliances.
And these are things that they give to mothers that...
Anybody. You can go pick it up. Their only rule is you have to pick it up yourself. They will not take it to your home. They're not going to transport it. Furniture, clothes, appliances. They had cologne and fragrances, hygiene products, diapers for children, a stroller, washer dryer, a brand new lawnmower. I mean, things that... If you're poor and you're setting up a house, you need
those, yeah.
So they're going to be setting up an event in the spring, like an open house, and they get this stuff every year.
Okay.
And I put this on Facebook, so people are contacting them. Hopefully they take advantage. And when the city council hopefully has a rethink on the zoning, they allow a $4 million rec center to be built.
And like I said before, Mom's house, there's lots in Moxham. I will take an activity center and weight room here because I need to go to the weight room.
Now, we talk about serious issues, and this is a sad one. The owner of the freight station was killed.
Yes.
They're offering now, I believe, about a $2,000 or $3,000 reward.
I don't remember. I saw the reward. I don't know the amount.
Crime Stoppers. Someone had to see something. Someone knows something. The report was brutal. The family is posting on Facebook begging for help. People, if you're watching this, Lance Ross was a great guy. We all used to go to the freight station. It had great music, great people. They deserve justice. And they deserve answers.
Think they know what's going on yet or no?
I don't know. The fact that they kept this secret for almost 5 days and nobody knew what was going on. And then they had a big press conference and announced it was, homicide.
Yeah.
And now they're asking for information. Kind of makes me think they don't have anything. And then the guy, he was the nicest guy.
Yeah, everybody kind of senseless.
The Burns-Billows lawsuit doesn't have a ruling yet, Joe.
I'm shocked.
I'm kind of shocked. I figured it would be over by now. Maybe Burns is going to lose.
They're going to drag it. They're going to drag it out. Are they going to have a jury trial?
He asked for a jury trial.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I think there should be a jury trial.
I think that, he wants it just dismissed. If the judge dismisses it, it's over.
It's just...
You want them to say, if Chewbacca is a Wookiee, you must acquit.
I never served on a jury. I never even got someone to go jury trial. I really want to do it.
And now that you said that, they're all going to be watching at the courthouse. They're going to hit you.
I've never gotten it.
I got one once.
Now when I have stuff to do, then I won't have time to do it, they'll send me something. But this whole time,
Guilty.
Always wanted to do it. Nobody
Guilty.
complains. I want to do it. Never got one.
I do want to give a shout out to an amazing writer. His name is Sam Ross. Yes. Sam, if you watch our podcast, maybe he does.
He might.
I love his blog.
It's good.
This guy writes maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
He sees what's going on.
He sees what's going on. He's highly intelligent. His writing, I wish we had him as the editor of the Tribune, because he's so good at what he does.
They'd sell more papers.
They'd sell more papers.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to take on the difficult situations. And we need more like that. So
Common
Sam,
sense and clarity. It's amazing.
If you're watching, Sam, please keep writing. And I'm going to keep sharing your blog on Facebook. I spread it out Twitter. I put it everywhere. We have a local business that had a 6th anniversary. That's Lamb Cakes. Chad and Matt, congratulations to you. They're located right downtown. I've had I like the chocolate chip cookies. You know, his sister Val's opening up the Gyro. What's the place? It's right 2 doors down. The breakfast that we mentioned in our last podcast.
Where the Tower Pizza was.
Yes.
I
forget the name.
They sell breakfast.
Breakfast and lunch. We also saw this week had Thunder in the Valley have their announcement for their musical acts. What? The Thunder in the Valley musical acts.
Yes. Were they going to play the? I don't remember who they said they were going to.
I remember everyone was all excited.
Oh well, great.
I did write to no request Thunder's expenses, and I was supposed to have a meeting with Lisa Rager to discuss all the finances, and I never got around to it because Jane's son died, and I just kind of.
I'm not a big fan of that what they do. So
is
this one of your positive segments?
Because
it's okay. I'm going to rain on your parade.
Rant.
Because I just don't.
So when they're sitting in the clubs or the bars and groups of people,
I think they're mismanaging the Thunder. As a person who has a motorcycle or used to go to these things, I just don't think it went from like a niche kind of like place where there was firemen having the beer tents and you could get things served out of a church basement to like Jersey food trucks and $10 beers, and it's just I mean, if you're going to compete on that level, we're not going to make it. If you're going to compete on a level where it's like a neat town to go to and you get unique food that you can only get in Johnstown, and you get to hang out with the firemen who are supporting their haul by selling beer in a tent, you're gonna get bikers. But biker people, you're not gonna get the same crowd and the same enthusiasm with the commercialization of it. I mean, if you're doing a commercialization and the big time stuff, you're talking the big league biking events, and we're not. Big, but it's not that big league.
Man, last year it was like $45 for a simple meal of it was expensive.
I don't. But it's not. It's food truck food, and it's not like cool food truck food.
It's not the locals.
It's commercialized Jersey food truck food. That's no interest.
At some point, I will dig back up and ask the question. They did offer to show me their audit. I think at one point I heard they're spending like $40,000 or $50,000 for security. They get the hotel tax from the county.
About $500,000, I think.
And that's a nice chunk of change.
And I hear they all get all the people on those committees. They go to the other bike rallies and check
junkets.
Them out. Well, pretty much.
No one takes junkets in Johnstown.
Yeah.
I would like to give a shout out to Crispin Havner. He announced he is leaving WJAC.
Where's he going?
I don't remember. Crispin, we love you. I don't know who's going to take over the job. I don't know. Joe, you and I took a tour of a really cool business downtown called Elevate. You bought something. And you bought it for $8.
That's good.
And you were all excited.
I didn't think they had guy stuff in there.
Well, it's a great little business. It's right across from the First National Bank downtown by Tran. It's worth checking out. Please support local businesses. Tran, I went to their meeting, and that's my other big political drama.
It's neat how you throw a little nice out.
And you're like,
now I'm going to trash something.
Well, Tran was part of a secret meeting with Vision. I'm sure you're shocked. Vision had a secret meeting
with Tran, no way.
And the city of Johnstown, led by Mike Tedesco.
Okay, well,
shock. So I get tipped off on he's on the job board managing the Raise grant. I'm sure you're shocked about that too. So I write to no requested. Got records after I had to file an appeal that they had this meeting, and then I write to no requested every action item on the secret meeting email. Of course, Tran denied having it.
They blacked them out.
The city, that was another story.
Oh,
the city claimed Camtran had them. Camtran claimed the city and Jaw, and it was just back and forth, ping pong bureaucracy.
Yes.
So I appealed it, and the state agreed with me. They didn't, for the burden of proof, release the records. So they have until like a week and a half from now. And I'm predicting it's going to be the same thing as the Child Development Corp with the school district 7 years ago. They're going to release nothing, and they're going to force a lawsuit, or they're going to have to appeal it because there's something fishy with that raise grant.
I think they're mismanaging it.
I think it's a completely it's a
Is this the one? Is this the one Wayne's complaining about?
Yes. And our senator Wayne Langerhol, he knows. Like, you read his comments.
He's been complaining about it. Like he knows something's up.
Yes.
I think they're mismanaging something there.
Well,
there's definitely smoke.
They announced they're not supposed to start work on it until 2026 now.
Oh boy.
They still have to do the environmental study. They haven't hired a project manager.
$200,000 to figure out what the best color for Morley's dog is. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they drag it out. And what you're talking about with the redaction is I Right to Know requested their legal invoices for Camtran. Because I wanted to see how they're spending their money for their Reading lawyer. She lives in Reading.
Yeah, of course.
So that ruling is due out in 2 weeks. And if I lose it, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But past precedence shows that you can't redact every single word on a legal invoice. They even redacted the name Camtran off the bill.
They were being jerks.
They were being jerks. Mm-hmm. So that may be coming with a legal action. If it happens, people, you'll be the first to know in a podcast because we always like to announce online. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that.
Yeah.
Like the city of Johnstown, Joe, I filed complaints. I called the DA. I called the city. I went to board meetings.
You definitely exhausted everything before you decided to file a lawsuit.
And
that's what people don't. That's what they don't say. They're like, oh, just file lawsuits. No, you asked every board like twice, and everybody else
filed complaints. I went in person. I tried to negotiate. I asked them to do the right thing.
If they would have just went, you know what, we screwed that up. We're going to take care of that. We're going to have it done in about 30 days. We're going to have a new meeting. Okay.
Instead, they put the motion in, and then every single one of them, including
I watched that. Yeah, they all voted it down, but the instigators of voting it down were definitely
the council members.
Capirati and
yes,
and
so this thing with Camtran is going to be a back and forth. And we're going to see how it plays out.
If Tedesco's involved, I don't have any faith that it's upright.
Well, my whole thing is, why aren't more people questioning it?
Well,
and of course, the last thing is the number 400.
400.
That's how many signatures Joe and I got. We filed our petitions.
We did it
this week.
That's right.
We are seeking the Republican nomination for Cambria County Commissioner.
Is that what we're doing?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I didn't know this whole
time. And for those of you wondering, and I'm going to say this with a laugh, we're not giving the Tribune an interview.
No.
We don't trust Chippy.
No,
I really don't.
I don't.
I mean, I sent Dave Souter my lawsuit for the Planning Commission because I trust Souter.
Maybe they'll write you out. You know what?
I like Souter. I do.
I did, but then he's still the employee of them.
Well,
he doesn't get final say.
For those of you who are wondering why I'm running, Joe, I'll give you a spiel when I'm done. I've been an activist for 23 years. And I was a mute for 7 years, people. I had multiple throat surgeries. My life was a living hell. And I learned when I got my voice back, I had to be an activist and speak out wherever I saw injustice, and I always spoke my truth. I've been that person for 23 years. And it hasn't been easy. I've had a lot of rough roads. I learned about poverty. I've learned about being down and out. I know what it's like to have nothing. So because of that, I know I'm nothing, but I can be a mouth who speaks for people. So I've decided to use that voice that I've been given back by God to everywhere I go, speak out. Whether you love me or hate me, that's who I really am. Yeah, I have an education. I have a bachelor's. I have a master's. I started a PhD. I have a career. I have all the things that people want to hear about. But the real story is I was a mute, and that's why I speak out. So when I run for this position, I've run multiple times before, we're not the traditional candidates.
No, I don't really like politics at all.
And neither do I. We're not going to smile and read the book and hold the baby and play the game. We're going to give you the solid truth. You want to talk about being a chiropractor?
No, because I don't think being a chiropractor has any reason
to run for office.
But I mean, why am I involved? Well, I have patients come in just today even. Why did you live in Moxham? Well, I thought there was potential here, and you want to be the change that you want to see. So why are all these people on the hills and elsewhere that are running everything trying to fix the city from the outside. Go buy a house. Buy that. Fix it from that end.
Sweat equity in the area.
Buy a house. Be my neighbor. Fix it from the inside. I don't like the politics of it, but I like to see a problem and I like to get it fixed. So with the county wise, was I ambition to do anything in the county level? Well, I wasn't to do anything in the city level either, but I see there was a problem. I ran into that with the ERAP program. You like to go to the meetings. I went. They didn't. I was asking them questions that the commissioners didn't even know were a real issue. So they had to ask someone else.
They don't pay attention.
But they're not paying attention to it. And I found there's a lot of things that they don't know the answers to, where they're supposed to be in charge of them to take care of them. Mm-hmm. Why is that? I don't know. But as for politician-wise, definitely, if I were to do anything, I wouldn't be the trail running, take a picture, watching
flower planting,
eating a hot dog, or running on a trail,
or all the positivity posts like Scott.
I don't think that. I mean, if you want a cheerleader, then you take them.
We're real people.
If you want someone that's going to buckle down and try and learn what's going on and fix something, then that's what I'm going to do. If not, then hey. And I know, in politics though, what wins elections is the BS.
The trails.
The
trails they can't afford.
And I will not sacrifice to become one of those nonsensical clowns just to win something, because then it's empty and has no meaning. If you're going to win something, you got to do it with you got to win the game by the rules, or you're just cheating and it's fake. It's an empty win.
We are definitely the anti-candidates, and we're the underdogs.
No, by far.
And for those of us who are watching this, and I know they are, we expect you to come after us. We know you like the fact that we question you. Joe and I have been at the forefront of politics for 10 long years. We've exposed the corruption at the Greater Johnstown School District, the ethics report, the city, the drug forfeiture with the county, the ghost salaries,
the drug forfeiture with the city, even.
It goes on. And the latest chapter in this, of course, was the secret meetings and confidentiality agreements with Vision, the Afghan refugee plot.
Yeah, we exposed it.
The commissioners gave $90,000 to Vision. The commissioners
to bring Afghan refugees that are unvetted into your community, right in the heart of your community.
Tom Chernitzky's on the Vision board still,
and they were hiding it. If I was on that board, I'd be blowing the whistle.
And 99.9% of the time, Scott Hunt, our Republican commissioner,
voted along with them.
Votes the Democrats. He endorsed them in the newspaper 2 elections ago, saying Tom and BJ are great because he lost to Doug.
And then they keep saying, we lowered your property taxes twice. After you raised them.
And they're going to raise them again because
they're
overspending. So in the upcoming weeks, people, know that on Facebook and in these videos, we will be posting a very lengthy platform. You will see it. There'll be posters.
I think we should do it in pieces, not too long.
It'll be little by little. If you have questions for us, Joe and I aren't going to spend 2 days commenting on. Maybe we'll comment a lot.
If I get bored at night, I'll comment.
But if you have questions, tag us with a question. Email us. We'll gladly sit here and answer. So,
like we do already.
So, Joe, do you have final thoughts?
I don't do that. That's your job.
My final thought for the week is I encourage people to keep asking questions, and most importantly, to think about what's going on around them. Cambria County, on average, loses about 1,000 people a year, according to our census.
True.
That number, I think, is probably getting even larger because our leaders are so busy with frivolous, feel-good stories.
Trails, hot dogs.
I mean, I look at the Chamber of Commerce.
Whatever.
They have a dinner and they honor so-and-so and they give awards and they're patting each other on the back while we're losing jobs, we're losing population.
Everything.
Amazon goes to Altoona, not Johnstown.
Our county got downgraded. Was it just?
They didn't do it yet.
It's going to. And
they were able to push it off for 10 years. We're still on the 2010 census. I sat on the one commissioners meeting. We were supposed to lose a judge,
and one of
multiple
the
row offices collapsed.
Like I forget two go to a couple.
I think there's 4.
Couple sets that go together.
And that'll happen in 2030. And no one wants to hear the reality that if they don't make some radical changes now in what they're doing, we are headed down, not up. But if you ask Tom and Scott and BJ,
great.
And as far as Keith Rager, I know he's running. I wish him the best.
Yeah,
I met him. He was a nice guy. I don't know him, but I wish him the best.
If they were doing the job, I wouldn't be involved.
So for those of you watching, we have what we filed. We'll see if they challenge our petitions. Maybe they'll challenge. We'll go to court.
We're gonna have a little picture of the 300 people with our faces on it.
I will work on that. But thank you all so much, and enjoy this installment. There we go.
Yes.
Revitalize Johnstown presents
400.
Thank you.